You reach for your weapon, but as the small Voidwoken skitters forward, you get the sense that it's not here to fight. It looks at Fane, clicking and chittering in excitement, and introduces itself. Fane starts in shock. He knows it. The Voidwoken was a colleague from Fane's days at the Academy, his assistant. It claims it knows how to save the Eternals. It promises Fane that if he can snatch the powers of the Seven, then he can restore his people. Not under the rule of the God King or the Void, they would finally be free. Fane turns away, pensive and quiet. Even as a skull, you can see the pain etched into his face.
Do you know, this Ark's place doesn't look half bad. Important does not do it justice. She tells me there is a way to save my people. The power of Divinity could bring them back. Not as monsters, but restored to their former glory. I could have my old life again. Yes, well, best get on. I gather we have a world to save. Or some such thing.
The truth hangs heavy upon the air itself, unspoken. This is the point of no return. Somewhere beyond this point, you shall be undone, or you shall ascend. There is no middle ground.
My goodness. Here we are, Quercus. This is it. What do you mean, Quercus? Of course I'm prepared. I have my noble steed below me, and my trusted shield beside me. What more could I need?
His whiskers crack into a mischievous smile.
And I may have cracked the spell that will stop the great acorn in its furious tracks, if that's what you mean. That's right, Quercus. We've done it!
Sir Lora turns to you, his beady eyes shining with pride.
I owe you an apology, Shield. At the start of our journey, I wouldn't have believed a human would lead me to the discovery that would save us all. But I see now that my prejudice was foolish. Without you, Quercus and I might still be stuck on that abominable prison island. Now here I am. Here we are, on the brink of saving the world. Indeed, Quercus and I will find an advantageous location and do just that. Meanwhile, you must prevent the servants of the Acorn from interrupting us.
Sir Lora takes a slow, deep breath and lets it out in a rush.
You feel it, don't you? It's so still, but there's something behind it too, like a thunderclap waiting to fall. The great Acorn is nearly here. Its servants are poised for impact. We've known this moment would come. Now it is time to put my research to the test. I am ready. Quercus is ready. And you, Shield? What say you, Quercus? That's good enough for you? Then it's good enough for me, too.
Sir Lora grabs your pinky with his tiny paw. He gives it a decisive shake, then salutes.
No matter what happens next, Shield, there's something Quercus and I want you to know. It has been an honor. Now, onward!
You come here often. I don't know what you did, but you just released a source blood. I thought I'd come and see what all the fuss was about. Should have known you were getting yourself into trouble. Looks like the big moment has finally arrived. I will do everything I can to support you, Godwoken. I will pray for you. I think you'll need it. Don't underestimate the power of true prayer. This is a place of incredible power where a single prayer holds the weight of thousands. Your heart and soul will fill as quickly as they're drained. Consider it a taste of your divine future. The people will pray for you. In turn, they'll trust you to do right by them, as I'm trusting you to do now. Of course, it's up to you whether or not to listen. I know how I'd respond, but you do you.
Melody wearily chuckles to herself, then bows her head in a show of unexpected but sincere reverence.
Looks like my investment's paid off after all.
I need worship only one divine, and I believe he stands before me now.
You've shown me kindness in the face of my sins. My worship is the least I can offer.
I've always preferred to be the one reaping the attention, but you've turned the tables. I suppose it's only right, seeing as how a new divinity may stand before me.
Now go. Rivellon needs a new divine.
Godwoken. Dallas told me about you. You must be as hard as diamonds, and twice as bright, to have come so far. Your divine welcomes you.
The divine you thought dead lords over the chamber from a granite throne. He moves to speak, but it's Wiedemann's voice that next pierces the air.
What a twist.
Lucian frowns at Wiedemann, then bestows a benevolent smile upon you. All that you know of him flashes across the panorama of your mind.
Lucian, you lying snake! You betrayed me! You used me to bring death to my own people! And for what? To make the world a better place? Look around!
Ifan, my friend. There were many sacrifices that had to be made. You were but one. Each of them pain me, but I would make them all again.
Lucian, we should tell him the truth.
Yes, I agree. It is time we dropped our masks.
Dallas nods, then reaches for the sides of her head. Where there was one face, suddenly there are four. She takes off the mask of the shapeshifter. A skull is revealed, bejeweled and ancient as the void.
I am eternal.
Aren't they just full of surprises?
Fear not, Godwoken. Dallas is on the side of all that is good. She is helping me rid Rivellon of the influence of the Source. Listen to her.
I shall tell you the tale as I told it to Lucian. Long ago, the scholar Fane discovered that the veil between the world and the void was made of Source. Our 7 lords desired this power.
Of course.
Silence, slave. Our king forbade the 7 to reach for this power, but they didn't listen. Instead, they rebelled and sent the king and his people into the void.
With the Source they stole from the veil. The 7 created the races so they would have worshippers.
The 7 made a mistake. By taking its source, they tore a hole in the veil, and it is through this hole that the void finds its way into our world.
The 7's lust for power let in the void. Our goal is to close the hole they created, to restore the Source to the veil. When we are done, there shall be no more Source in the world. Rivellon will be finally free from the gods that enslaved them.
My people cannot be allowed to return from the void. They are tarnished. They are void-woken. They can only bring chaos and death and...
There is more, but she hesitates to share it. Then she decides that she must.
I was a child when the God King tore my family apart. I was purged of Source and left to rot in a putrid tomb. A child. It was hell. A hell I suffered for the sins of my father. He was the one that betrayed the God King. He was the one that told the 7 the secrets of the veil. The cruel joke of it all is that the same tomb that housed my tortured body is what sheltered me from the void. Few Eternals escaped that fate. Myself, my mother, and Fane. Yes, Fane is my father.
What? No. It can't be. Everything Dallas did. It was all you. Child.
Everything I did to fix your mistake. Our people, every purged sorcerer, every dead magister, all those weeping families. They're on your head, Father. But now I have revenge. Revenge on the Seven and the God King. Revenge for what they took from me. My life. My people. My mother!
The hammer's voice falters and her coolness vanishes. Every crack and rasp betrays her grief, but her next words burn not with sadness, but anger.
Did you even look for me? Did you even look for her?
Dallas, control yourself. Our purpose transcends your personal wounds.
Yes. You are right.
Dallas's reasons weren't mine to question. All that ever mattered to me was peace. Peace for Rivellon. Peace for me, whatever the means. And now, we are on the precipice. While Dallas sought the Aetiran, I started draining the gods of their source.
Slurp, slurp, slurp.
One more word from you, and I shall use the leash.
I had to hide from the gods. So I had the walls of this crypt equipped with tenebrium and protections put in place. It worked. Everyone, even the gods, thought me dead. As divine, I was created, empowered to stop the void. I was the avatar of the Seven, their strength and their weakness. My bond to them allowed me to drain them of their source.
Yes, in a sense. When the death fog was unleashed, many elves died. With fewer elves to worship him, Tias and Dilius weakened. This gave the God King his first real foothold back in the world. To strengthen himself, he sent his Voidwoken, the remnants of my people, to hunt down the sorcerers seeking to reclaim their source.
The Voidwoken. Disgusting things. They ravaged the land they touched and infected the air they breathed. They were also an incredible stroke of luck. You see, blaming the sorcerers for Voidwoken made them easier to capture.
The Aetiran now contains almost all of the source the Seven stole. Soon, we will be able to heal the Veil.
The void shall be banished, and I, Lucian the Divine, shall return from the dead. A false divine, of course. I shall have no power, but the world will not know this. I shall demand peace, and we shall have it.
The plan is almost complete.
We have made so many sacrifices, Godwoken. All of us. Of ourselves and those we love. One last sacrifice is required. For the future of Rivellon, you must surrender your source.
Decide. Be the true hero and give up your source, or be forced to submit. Like a coward. Like a slave.
There is no other way. The source of the world is required to close the veil. All of the source. We only lack yours.
As I say, one last sacrifice is required. Yours. Good. You understand.
The world shall not know this. I shall return from the grave, a divine without power, yet all who desire power shall fear me. I shall carry the secret of my lack of divinity. Peace shall reign.
More than enough. Far more. I will suffer him to live no longer.
Ifan unsheaths his weapon. He stands by your side with every muscle tensed, like a coiled spring. Fire blazes in his eyes as he looks to you for support. Ifan nods his thanks. He turns away just as you see the emotion rising in his eyes. Then, the coiled spring snaps, and he pounces upon Lucian like savagery incarnate.
Brachus Rex, I am the Source King. You shall not seal the veil, and I shall not be struck down. I call on the God King. Come, claim what is yours.
How? What? You are unleashed!
Vredeman cackles in delight at this turn of events. His unbridled glee slithers into your veins and throttles your heart.
You left the leashing wand next to me, you stupid maggot. So accustomed had you become to me pretending to be your slave.
Kill him!
Do shut up, you tedious buffoon. And don't look so surprised. As if I would allow that bone-bag Dallas to enslave me.
This is not the time for talk. Kill him, now!
Too late, you mouldering, blight-stained pigs. Grant me power, my ally. God King, I call on you. You dare interrupt Brachus Rex? How novel. Who are you to challenge the Source King? Ah! You are the fetid dirt on my boot. You are nothing at all. I am the Source King. I shall rule. I shall rule. The God King hears my call. He sends a companion worthy of my power. Come to your father. Come to the Source King.
Lucian struggles to rise, but the weight of his own pain leaves him to gravity's mercy.
My time is done. But your source burns so bright I'm all but blinded by it. Be wise and true, Godwoken. I am no hero, but wisdom and truth. These are values I always believed in.
Dallis groans in pain.
I have failed. The future of all that is rests on your shoulders.
So here we are. The end of it all. Nobody I'd rather see this whole thing through with. I trust you. I trust your judgment. I know you will. I know you. Remember? You're the best damn friend I've ever had. Well then, let's do this.
Well then, this is, as they say, it. I never dreamed that after all this, I would be standing here with one of your kind. Let alone that I would be proud to do so. I cannot imagine someone I would trust more with divinity, including myself.
Fane lays a bony hand on your shoulder, squeezing gently.
Do you know, I believe you will.
This is it. I can hardly believe it.
She casts her gaze around the crypt in awe.
After everything we've been through, after everything we've seen, here we are. Here I am. And now that I see godhood before me, I know what I have to do. Chief, you need to ascend. There's no one I would trust with this responsibility but you. I know you'll do what needs to be done, what ought to be done. And I know you'll do it with style.
Her eyes flash and sparkle with tears. She quickly wipes them away and feigns kicking you down a road.
Back at you, Chief. Always. Now go on, shoo. You've got business to attend to.
You think back on your journey here, on all that you have seen and done. You think of the Magisters and the sorcerers they hunted, and of the good and the evil on both sides. You think of how the Eternals came as Voidwoken to reclaim their stolen world. You look at the source around you. The power is immense. Divinity at your fingertips. You think of what you could do with such power. The rights you'd wrong, the wars you'd win. You marvel at your journey and how it has changed you. You think of those you left behind, and of those you met along the way, who stood by you or against you. It's time to choose your fate, and the fate of all you hold dear. What shall it be? Shall you be divine? After all that you have been through, and all that you have done, all that you have become, the Aetheran lies in front of you. Divinity is yours to take, or to sacrifice. What you do next decides your own fate, and the future of the world. What shall you do with divinity?
So it ended. A tale that began with my own ill-fated attempt to rid the world of the Godwoken. A new divine rose, a true heir to the Seven, more powerful than ever, and united Rivellon in its battle against the Void. All across the realm he was loved, worshipped and adored. Humans, lizards, elves and dwarves all rallied to his banner. The Great Allegiance stood once more, but the war continued. From the depths of the void, the God King still sought to return. As for me, my last hope of ever being freed of the God King's terrible tyranny faded when the Godwoken claimed divinity. An eternity of pain and suffering is mine. I cling now to the dream that one day the veil will be sealed, that one day I can be freed, that one day a new Godwoken will rise.
Malady stands tall and proud, sunlight sparkling off her mask. From here she looks almost angelic.
Well, here we are again. You, me, and the ship I've saved from ruin for your personal benefit. I'd say you owe me, but why state the obvious? Get an eyeful, Your Holiness. I expect it's the last we'll see of each other for some time.
She turns to you, arms crossed, and grins.
Look at you. Magnificent. Actually, I've never looked better. Except for one small thing.
She fingers the mask covering her face. For a moment, it seems as though she's about to remove it. But instead, she places a hand on your shoulder.
We've come a long way together. I did my best by you all the way. I sacrificed much. And I'd give even more to see you become exactly what you've become. Soon, I'd like to have a little chat about something you can do for me. But I believe that can wait. Relax. Enjoy. I certainly plan to do the same. Oh, I don't know, around and about. Treat myself to some mead, a lover or 300. I'd say we've earned it. And when the time comes, I'll come find you, Your Holiness.
The flaming hatchling bounces and cheeps out of sheer excitement.
Daddy! Daddy! Looky at me!
It takes you a moment to realize the egg you've been carrying has hatched at long last. The chick trills contentedly and flaps its tiny feathers in recognition of its proud parent. It seems you've got a new mouth to feed.
Daddy!
I've never been fond of what the Divine stands for, but I must say, it's rather exciting to say I've been up close and personal with one. Reform my ways. How adorable. No, I'm afraid I cannot escape who I am and what I've done.
Her eyes flick down to your mouth. She smiles coyly, then slinks forward to kiss you. Her mouth meets yours and devours you with predatory abandon. Somewhere in the recesses of your mind, you think you hear her voice sigh, "Mine." But then the kiss ends.
Something to remember me by, darling. Who knows? A nice cottage someplace quiet for Mahalia and I. A roaring fire and a feather bed. Maybe. Maybe. But a girl needs some fun, doesn't she?
Oh my, you! Look who it is! Our brand new Lord and Saviour.
She curtsies low and looks up at you with a grin.
So, what's your first order of business? End world hunger? Instigate world peace? Send all spiders back to hell where they belong? I don't know if anyone's free of anything, once and for all. But I'm bloody thrilled to be here now. Just me, myself, and you, of course. Well, yeah, I'm not the next god. Someone made that abundantly clear.
She winks and pokes you in the ribs.
So? Come on, don't keep me in suspense. What are you going to do with your almighty power? Big job. I'd offer to help, but I've got some business of my own to attend to. Get loot, play loot, get glad. So, Chief, I guess this is it, right?
Her face softens.
You know, I won't forget you either. Not ever. It's not every day you fall in love with a future god, after all. You'll ace it. I'm sure of that.
As she turns from you, the whites of her eyes darken, the veins in her face go grey, and a wicked smile curls her mouth. Suddenly it's gone again. She winks, and you're left wondering whether you saw anything at all.
See you around.
Well, if it isn't the new Divine gracing me with his presence. How honored I am.
Tarquin's smirk wilts into a glow.
I didn't come all this way to show deference. Some friendly advice. All who rise are capable of falling. Gods, the divine, anyone. Remember where you came from. The last thing this world needs is more tyrants. That is the question, isn't it? How does one top the greatest feat of necromancy ever conceived? I might have the answer to that. Tell me, have you ever heard of Gustavgen? No, of course you wouldn't. It's a written language, unreadable to most, but myself, naturally. It comes from a mysterious race from another world. Beings that feed on minds. I intend to seek them out. This Gustavgen seems to guard portals to their realm. And once I've uncovered one, well, why settle for being the greatest mind in just one world when there's another for the taking?
Well, Quirkers, look who finally graced us with their presence. I suppose some thanks are in order. What? No, you should be thanking me. I just saved the world from the Great Acorn. You're welcome, by the way. Honestly, Quirkers, some creatures have no sense of perspective.
A huge grin slowly spreads across the squirrel's small face.
Of course, had you not stopped this God King and his lackeys, there would have been very little left for me to say. So?
The cat moves forward, twisting around your legs and filling the air with the sound of dry, dusty purring.
Quirkers! Please, have a little decorum.
Quirkus arches his back, almost dislodging Sir Lora, who just smiles.
This battle is won, my friend, but we still have a war to fight. We've undone the Great Acorn, but the Knights of Dre are still out there. They summoned the Great Acorn once. They will be able to summon it again. We have to destroy their order, once and for all. That is the future Quirkus and I have ahead of us. We no longer need a shield, but we are very happy. The honor is all mine. I pray we will not need to call on you, but I am grateful for the offer. I never thought I would be proud to have befriended a giant, but there is no one Crackers! There is no one that we would rather have walked this world with. I do not know what comes next for you, but you will always have a friend in the forest. Come, Quirkus. We must... Oh, I think you have something in your eye, my friend.
The cat curls up and snuggles into his squirrel friend, who quietly sits and sniffs on the deck.
Amazing I'm still here. That we're still here. That Lucian... Well, that relationship always was complicated, wasn't it? You're so much like him. My instincts tell me to kneel to the new Divine. I've done so before, after all. But I can't drive myself to do it again.
Gareth beams. For the first time, he is his own man. Yet his enthusiasm is not a man's, but a child's.
A friend, yes. That I know how to be.
For a moment, his mind wanders to memories of friends and enemies, of malady and magisters, of demons and divinity. He is then in the present once more, and smiles at you.
Friends. I find a way to fit. I wasn't just content to lurk in Lucian's shadow. I was his shadow. Now I stand in the sun as my own man. I just don't know who that man is. And so I find out. My goal is to have a goal, if that makes sense at all. And if it doesn't, well, that's all I've got.
Ifan gives you an appraising glance. Curiosity mingled with an emotion you can't quite put your finger on. Reflected in the mirror of his eyes, you see yourself, majestic, powerful, emanating an aura of purest source. Ivan's lip curls slightly, and he looks away.
So, you're it. Our new Divine. I truly hope you'll do better than Lucian. Be better. You'll need to do even better than that. But if anyone can, I believe it's you. If I can give one last piece of advice, remember that you serve the people, not the other way around. I need to fix what my actions destroyed. I'm going home. I'm going to return to the forests where I grew up, where the death fog detonated. I'm going to plant new seeds and see fresh shoots spring from the earth. Maybe we'll see each other again sometime.
He pauses, as if about to say something else, then shakes his head. With one last nod, he whistles up his soul wolf and lopes away. Fane is reading a volume of Cranley Hubert's famous encyclopedia. He leafs through it slowly, muttering to himself.
Interesting.
His eyes stay fixed on the book as you approach. Fane looks up, his gaze carefully drinking you in.
Fascinating. The power of my people. The power of the Veil. All in one delicate mortal shell. Who could have imagined? I don't doubt it.
The skeleton looks back to the book. You can feel the grief radiating from him.
I can't help thinking that I could have saved them. That I could have done something. I could have done more. So, perhaps could they? Had they decided to live in peace with the mortals of Rivellon, maybe we could have saved them. But they made their choices. And I made mine. You could have saved them, but you didn't. You made your choice. Don't misunderstand. I made my choice too. That doesn't mean I cannot mourn them, though. They deserve that much.
The skeleton hefts Hubert's dog-eared encyclopedia, its weight heavy in his hands.
I've been rereading this book, looking over your history once again, poring over every detail with a new perspective, and do you know what? It's shit.
Fane tosses the book over his shoulder. It flutters in the air as it sails over the ship's railing and disappears with a faint splash.
If you have spent your life staring at a thing, you can write about it with knowledge. You can write about it with love. But it is almost impossible to write about it with wonder. You creatures have spent your lives trudging about this world, and you've grown blind to its miracles. Take otters, for example. Energetic, waterproof cats, utterly beautiful creatures. Or octopuses. Did you know they're secretly octopuses? Octopi? Octopods. I shall have to look that up. Regardless, the world is filled with absolutely incredible sights. And who better to catalogue them with the awe they deserve than someone seeing them for the first time? Do you know, there is the idea that nothing is ever truly created or destroyed. I suppose we are all Source, just in different forms. You being the cruder, less jewel-encrusted form, naturally. But my people were Source too, although we didn't know it at the time. And our Source helped create you. In a way, I was walking alongside the best version of them the entire time. In you, I found a home better than the one I was pining for. Thank you, Godwoken.
It gives me almost as much pleasure to speak to you as it does to be whole again. I will always be an ally to those that carry Source, to those whose blood is of the heroes of old, and so, as always, I am at the ready. Consider me to be a gift from Naledi. My wood was splintered, but my spirit intact. It was a great feat, but given her skill, not a surprising one. I feel better than new.
You look out to the endless beyond. The sun's light plays upon the waves, just as it always did. The sails flutter in the wind, just as they always will. And yet, something is different. You are different. And with a start, you realize where you must go next. you speak the command to the Lady Vengeance, and another chapter begins. War raged on. Arx remained the center of power as the races united behind the Divine. But the Voidwoken attacks continued as they did elsewhere. Arx would see many more long years of war. The ancient empire of lizards became one of the pillars of the new Divine Alliance. The houses of war and of shadows were particularly useful in the fight against the God King. The Empire used the war to expand its territory. Justinia returned to her throne. Under her rule, the Dwarven kingdom fought for the Divine, and her loyalty was unquestionable. Many fine and courageous dwarves did their people great honor, in battle and in death. With Lucian gone, the elves reluctantly rejoined the Divine Alliance. Their place in the war on the Void would entirely depend on the integrity of the new Divine. And here and there, across the world, what was left of the Black Ring fought on. The island of Fort Joy remained a sorcerer's paradise, a place of exile for those whose sorcery threatened to bring in the Void. For their well-being, its residents depended entirely on the benevolence of the new Divine. Reaper's Coast struggled on. The farms and the fisheries fought to feed the people against the Voidwoken blight. The black pits took fire. The oil there burns still. Driftwood teetered on the edge of starvation until the night the Voidwoken came from the sea. All were killed. This did, however, put an end to the famine. The nameless isle had vanished. Although only open water remained, by instinct ships would steer clear. None of the captains could articulate why. Sir Gareth thanked the surviving Seekers for their service and gave them their freedom. Disillusioned with ongoing war, he set out alone to find a new purpose. He would never stop seeking. Young Han grew up a warrior and became one of the Alliance's greatest generals. But even he could not win the war. Almira and Mihaili settled in an abandoned homestead. The locals liked and respected Almira. She never wanted for help, and deals always fell to her favor. Outsiders were often suspicious, but no local would speak against her. With a new Divine at the helm, Malady had a powerful ally, but she was in no hurry to call in her favor. After all, it might be the last thing she ever did. Having performed the greatest act of necromancy in history, Tarquin found the new world unchallenging. He became obsessed with rumors of another plane of existence. One day he vanished and was never seen again. Ahu the Wizard served the new Divine with honor, wisdom, and an at times unnerving feline elegance. The undead priestess Gratiana remained in her sanctuary, happy to wait for the war to pass. She was troubled only by the silence of her goddess. Sahala sought to strengthen the Elven alliance with the new Divine. Her powers of sight proved useful in the ongoing war against the Void, but she could never be sure that the new Divine trusted her. Tova, her mother, was Sahela's most trusted warrior. Fane travelled Rivellon, notebook in hand, recording the wonders he discovered. He kept a socket peeled for signs of the Eternals, hoping to find the wife he had lost. He's still looking. With a small band of elves, Ifan Ben Medst replanted the lost forests. After the first fresh shoots broke the earth, Ifan returned to the war, leading the elves in service of the Divine. Some say Afrit, his soul wolf, walks the forest still. Losa returned to her music and enjoyed a storied career as the Divine's premier musician. Dark moods would still overtake her, and she would spend long hours walking in the wilds. She always returned with a new song. And then there was you. For how much of this do you take credit or blame? And what kind of divine were you as the world battled on? Did you show mercy or strength? Did you sacrifice others as Lucian had done? Did you regret becoming divine? Should you have given your soul and sealed the veil? Only you know the truth. Only you know if you atone for your sins.